curious about the inner workings of the women in the tech ecosystem. As advocates for women's growth in tech, we're diving deep into this unique realm. Join us for an illuminating discussion where we uncover the challenges and mysteries faced by women in this dynamic ecosystem.
Hi, my name is Halima Abubakar. Welcome to another edition of Quantum Bytes by Beepo. Today is a very, very special edition, and I have a very amazing and intelligent guest here today in person of Triumph, and we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic. I believe one that concerns us all, and we're going to be having conversations centered around women in tech, and the ups and downs, the journey so far, and everything in between. I believe that it's going to be one very interesting conversation that I believe a lot of young girls, a lot of ladies, a lot of women are going to be benefiting a thing or two from. So stay with us through the ride. Welcome to the studio today, Triumph. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's nice to be here too.
Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to just introduce yourself to us and just tell us who you are, what you do. We'd like to know the amazing personality behind the beautiful face.
All right, so I'm Triumph Ogeh, and I'm a data analyst by day. I'm a community person by night.
Oh.
Right, I'm saying by day and by night because I do both of them together.
Okay. And
yeah, aside from being a data person and a community person, I think I'm a foodie too. I love food a lot.
Nice.
And I enjoy eating. So yes, that's like a summary of me.
Nice. It's amazing to have you here, and it's nice to meet you.
Thank you.
So concerning the topic for today, women in tech, I believe that you've been in this space for a while, in the tech industry for a while, and I'd like to know, and I'd like everyone to know your story. Like, how has it been so far? What's your view about women's involvement in tech, and how has been the journey for you? How has been your experience so far?
Okay, so I would start with my experience so far, right? So my first contact with tech was I don't remember the level I was then, okay, but it was just one day I had this friend that took me to a session, like a boot camp or something, and that was with embedded systems. So there we're doing all this IoT thing. We had Arduino boards, we had connector sensors and all of that. That was my first experience with tech, okay. And it was really intriguing, right? Because I could see that I could program a sensor to do something. I think one of the beautiful projects then I worked for was like automating the building where we were. It was like a workshop and we're practicing there. But I transitioned from that because I was too broke then to buy equipment. And if you know embedded systems, stuff are expensive. It's hardware. So hardware is kind of expensive to go. So I had to move to something more software that I could just do on my laptop without having to spend much. So that was when I discovered data analysis, data science to be precise. I attended a data science bootcamp, and from there everything just went like that. Let me just cut this story short. Okay. And from there I just transitioned from being a data scientist to being a data analyst, and along the way I found myself in a lot of communities, right? Okay. And that was how I began to just pick up the community management role in GDSC, Video Developer Student Clubs, every community that I could find my hands on that could support my growth. I was involved in those communities, actively involved in those communities, and soon I found myself leading the communities, managing on that for the communities, and that's how it has been for me. So from then to now, there's been a lot of things that I've seen that are different. Because I remember when I did my initial data science, my first training set at embedded system, we were only 2 ladies in that training, just 2, me and my friend. And so because I dragged my friend, somebody dragged me and said it's one boy that is dragging me, don't let me go alone. And that was very young, so I was okay, follow me. That was how we were the only 2 ladies there. During my data science training too, we were only 2 ladies too. One of them was a working class woman, and she came just once in a while. It was only 1 month training, and she came twice every week. So every other 3 days in the week, I was the only lady too in the training. And it was just now the guys are good tech, that kind of feeling. But from then to now, there's been a lot of changes. Like now you attend trainings and you are seeing a lot of women there. You attend even online trainings, physical trainings, and you are seeing that at least there's a representation of females in the space. So I think things have really improved from then to now. And I think they're still going to like be improving like more and more in the future.
Exactly. Okay, so do you think that the tech space is do you think it's a tough space, a tough place for women?
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, right? Generally, the tech space is tough, irrespective of your gender. Right? I would like to like lay that fact down. It's really tough to like advance your career. Reason being, it's like a lot of competition, and for us in Nigeria, we are competing on like a global landscape, right? Because every company that is coming up today, every startup, everything, they're trying to solve a problem in Nigeria, but they also have a plan to solve the problem in Africa, in the world, and all of that. So they need people that are really good. So you are competing as a talent here. We are facing light issues, that are facing internet issues. They are trying to compete with global talent. So first, it's tough for whatever gender it is. But I would say it's a bit harder for women for one of two reasons. Reason number one is, as a woman now, like when you attend trainings most times, you see that there are more men than women. So first of all, if you're not a woman that has like so much confidence when entering a tech space, they're going to be like, these are like so men like this. Am I even going to like make it, right? That kind of thing, number one. And number two is, if you notice, like most people, when you ask them, I want to do tech and all of this, there's this kind of, I don't know if it's PR that people always say, oh, you're a lady, you probably should do design, you should do content marketing, do this, like coding is too hard. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think you're the one selling it the wrong way. I think if you want to do coding, if you want to go into programming, you should do it. Right? So although it's tough, especially when you get to the stage of now the training has ended, what next? Everybody wants to get an internship, or they want to get a work that they're doing and all of that. As much as companies are saying, oh, female, they want females. So if you see some job descriptions now, they'll say preferably female. Right? As much as that is happening, how many of them are happening compared to, imagine you're having like, you're putting out a role. I once put out a role for my former company, and I had about 32 applications for that role, and we had just like 6 ladies out of the 32. So I'm like, even if I'm even trying to pick a lady out of this thing, as much as I'm trying to look for a lady, I'm also trying to look for competence
very important
in this thing. So I think it's that kind of imbalance first in applying for internships and all of that. So it's going to make things a little bit more difficult. If I had example 16 ladies applying and 16 males applying for that role, it would have been so easy for me to say, oh, I'm picking up the best lady from this 16 stack, picking up the best guy from the 16 stack, and I'm employing one male, one female to have like a balance in that kind of thing. So I think where it becomes a little bit more difficult is when we get to the job market. We are looking for internships, apprenticeships, and all of that kind of thing. It's really not so easy. But at the beginning, when you're having trainings, there are a lot of free trainings for ladies and all of that. But when you begin to advance your career, seriously, sometimes it's not easy. And let's not even talk about office politics that happen in a lot of organizations and all of that. The kind of stigmatization you might face depending on where you're working, right? So there's a lot of that too that happens.
Well, thank you so much for those insightful words. Okay, so now to innovation, to creativity and innovation. I know that there's this uniqueness that ladies bring to anything. Sometimes men just think in one way, but ladies, we have this multitasking abilities, and as a man is thinking in one way, we're thinking in 100 ways. So how do you think that nature in women, how do you think that they bring that nature to the workplace? How do you think they bring that nature to projects, to teams that they are on? And with you as a female in the tech industry, how do you think that nature, helps you in carrying out tasks and projects?
Okay. So like you said, you are very correct. Like ladies have like a very different perspective to a lot of things. And I think it comes from our ability to multitask a lot. Right? So for example, I'll use an example to explain how it's projects on teams. So I know everybody knows the popular piggy vests. Everybody knows piggy vests. And piggy vest is owned by a woman, right? Everybody knows Money Africa, owned by a woman. Everybody knows Economy, owned by a woman. If you've interacted with any staff at this organization, right, at any point in time, they always have something really good to say about the team. They're not even talking about the products or the projects they're working on. They have something really good to talk about the workspace environment. I was talking with one of them recently, and the lady was just, I was like, I'm using Piggyvest, you don't have to sell it to me. She was like, no, she's not trying to sell it to me, that it's just like a really interesting and cool environment, because there's a kind of gender balance on a team. And aside from there being gender balance on a team, there's the kind of mindset that everybody has, that it is our work. It is not just one person's work. So I think it projects a lot on the team when you have like a woman leading the team that has like a lot of ideas to think about. Like, you see, there are many beautiful things that Piggyvest does aside from, I'm using Piggyvest for an example here, aside from just normal savings. There's a lot of saver of the month, a lot of initiatives that they do, a lot of giving this, a lot of reports and all of that they do. It makes you interested in the Piggyvest app, makes you interested in following their page. Even economy, if you see economy, when I was in Lagos, they were my best friends, because every day they're either giving discount on one makeup company, they're giving discount on food and all of that, just to have the economy card. So when I go to Sweet Sensation, I'm like, I have my economy card, please, I'm getting my 10% discount on my meal. All those kind of things. So there's a lot of initiatives in the organization that drives the growth of the organization, also drives the online community. It's very interesting. Imagine the first day I saw something with our economy card, we've never met ourselves before, but just that card made us friends. Right, so that's like a perspective you bring to all of that. And the second question, sorry, remind me the second question. You said something about me.
Yeah, you've already answered that question. I was talking about how that nature has also helped you in the space. Okay,
so that nature has really helped me in the space. Right, take it for example, where I worked previously, we were trying to work on a project. We were trying to adopt a new technology in the company, and it was not a tech company per se, so the whole tech thing was still new. The whole tech team, in short, the tech team was really new. We're just two on the tech team, and we needed a lot of ideas on how do we best implement this. So everybody had their one idea. Everybody was thinking this, thinking that. But on the team, I was like, this is the simplest idea we can work with. It's an internal project we're trying to work with. Why don't we approach it this way? Less expensive, very efficient. Anybody can pick up the tool and learn it in 2 nights, and you are fine, and it works, right? And that was like a really good milestone for us, because we really needed to implement that stuff in the company like in 2 months, and we're able to do that quickly. Although we've moved from that now, but at least we're able to start off at a ground where we are not costing the company so much expenses, we're not adding too much expenses, and we're also delivering value. Because it was funny enough that everybody was stuck at that point. I was like, there's this thing we can use, and there's no stress inside of it. And everybody was asking me, how did you find out? And I'm like, on the street of Kitao. That was how it just happened.
As simple as it is. Beautiful. Okay, so like from the different examples you gave examples of women that have startups, women that have brands, women that are doing amazing, and of course yourself doing amazing in this space. How do you think that we can encourage more women? How do you think we can encourage our girls in school? How do you think we can, because we need more women in this space to show people out there that I have done this, I am doing this, and I aspire to do more in this space. So how do we encourage them to come into this space? How do we, bring in more women to this space?
Okay, so I think for a start, it starts from our basic education from primary schools. Because if you go to many primary schools, if you go to their textbook and you see career, even when we sing this career song, I'm a doctor in my country, nobody ever mentions I am a software engineer in my country. Nobody ever mentions I am a product designer in my country. So I think it all has to start from that mental framework we had while growing up, right? So how do we start chipping in tech little by little from this kind of thing? Chipping in tech is not like when we get to school and they tell you, oh yeah, lady, go and do home economics, don't do computer science, choose this one, don't choose that one. So I think it has to start from that space, because that will make it easier for someone like me now. I picked computer science in school, but I know the battle I fought to my parents to pick computer science. Everyone was like, why don't you do medicine? You want to talk to a man doing computer science? I was like, well, I've already gotten admission. Will you agree or you will not agree? do it. That was I was like, at least I've gotten an admission. You can't tell me not to sit at home when I have an admission. That was how it works for me. So I feel like it has to start from the fundamentals, from the very basics of education. Right? There needs to be a lot of enlightenment that aside from being a doctor is nice, being a nurse is nice, doing all of that is nice, but do you know that you can be a digital marketer? Do you know that you can be a product manager? Do you know that you can be a software engineer? Do you know you can be this? Do you know you can be that? Right? So let's expand their minds to understand that there are 1,001 career paths that do not have to be doctors, that do not have to be nurses, all those kind of things. And at the higher level, for those that are a little bit more advanced, probably university and all of that, I think a lot of organizations are already doing like really good work in having free trainings for women, having free conferences to just enlighten women about what it is to be like in tech and all of that. So I think really, if we want to address this issue from the grassroots, I think the route to address would be from let's start chipping it into the education, the basic education, fundamental education. So by the time you advance, by the time you grow, you already have the mental mindset that there are many other career paths aside from being a nurse, aside from being a doctor, and that's
amazing. Okay, does this I'd like to know your view on this. Do you think that we have a lot of men in the tech space? Because there's no gainsaying that the tech space is dominated by men. They have more men, they have more of the tech bros there than the tech sisters there. So do you feel like we have a lot of men encouraging women to, you know, go above and beyond, you know, being there to guide them? Or do you feel like there's a lot of intimidation in the space and maybe sometimes derogatory comments that, you know, puts one down while you're trying to build yourself?
That's a tough question, right? It's a really tough question. I cannot generalize my answer because I don't have like any data to back up my answer. So I will just use like a closed example of my community around me. So I think in my community, the men are really doing well to promote like women getting into tech and all of that. So we have a women technicals community in Akure, and funny enough, the men do all of the planning of the community event. All that the ladies do is to host the event. The last event we had, the men were the one that did. They were our volunteers. There was no woman that is volunteer. They were the ones serving the meals, the ones hanging all of that, bringing the microphones. Everything the women did was come to the event and enjoy the event. So I think from my close community around, I think the men are really doing well. And I think even online, I follow a lot of tech bros online, and I think there are a lot of initiatives to say, oh, we're giving laptops to women, we are giving free trainings to women. Some people are even having some mentorship closed groups. So I think all of that is actually helping, although I cannot generalize, right? Because I've not studied a lot of them, but I think from the little I've seen, there's progress in that aspect. Men are encouraging women to come in and giving them like the necessary resources and help that they need to get into the space.
You know, from all of the things that you've said and from what I've seen as well, I believe that it's safe to say that community cannot be overemphasized. The importance of community cannot be overemphasized in, you know, in helping anyone grow and, you know, build something tangible or become anything tangible in this space. Okay, thank you so much once again for joining us today. And you know, while we wrap up this session, I'd like to, you know your final thoughts, your final words to any young girl out there, any lady out there, any woman out there that, you know, is looking at this whole tech thing from afar, looking at the tech industry, the tech space from afar, and feeling like this is not for me. You know, what are your final words? What are the things you say to them while we wrap up?
Okay, final word is tech is fun. It can be hard, it can be cumbersome sometimes, but it's really fun. So I really encourage every lady out there to get into tech, or get into the side of tech that interests you. So that's like my advice. So if you are naturally a person that loves to design, get into the design side of tech. Experience it. It's going to make your life easier. It's going to be sweet for you. That's like my advice. So experience tech.